a bit excited to see you. I had known of your contribution in the field of journalism, and I have always admired your writing, but for Aaradhana, it's a different medium, and I'm very pleased and excited to welcome you.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Shachi, could you tell the listeners a bit about you so that then we can get rolling?
Well, certainly. I mean, there's not too much to tell, but like very many other people in their mid-early 20s and mid-early 30s, I was born in this country to immigrant parents who came from India, Hindu family, and I was raised with those values and that culture all through my life, even though I was growing up here in the West. I remember even from a very early age, bedtime stories were, I mean, they were the Three Bears and Snow White and all those stories, but they were also the stories of, you know, Ganesha and how he got his elephant head, or story of Diwali, why we celebrate, and Ram's 14-year yatra and how he went all the way looking for his Sita and finally came back, and that's why we celebrate. And so those were the things that marked me, I think, initially, to know that even though I was playing with children from all different cultures, this was the culture I belonged to, and this is what set me apart. And also, I think, growing up and from birth being vegetarian, which was something, I would say 20 years ago, not so much anymore, was something quite remarkable. And so going to birthday parties of little friends, you know, 5, 6, 7, saying, no, I can't have a hot dog, I can't have a hamburger, and this is why, and my religion, you know, is against it and forbids it, and therefore, you know, can I have another piece of birthday cake?
This is very nice. This makes me feel that you are a pretty regular Indo-Canadian young person, born in Canada but raised in a Hindu tradition. Could you elaborate a little bit more on your worldview of Hinduism as a religion, as a way of life?
I think if I had to step outside being Hindu and look back on it as to compare it to other religions in the world, I think it's great, and I don't just say that because I am one. I think it's a wonderful religion because it's very convenient. It doesn't and don't take that, oh, it's convenient, I can slough it off, I don't have to take it seriously, but it's one such that you can be very free and very open, and it doesn't constrain its followers, it doesn't constrain its worshippers. There's no 10 commandments or 5 Ks or 5 pillars, and you must do this and you can't do that, and you're damned to hell if you do this. I mean, certainly there are things that it's a path and something that you follow, and the thing is to know your duty, to know your dharam. And your dharam can be in any situation. You know, what is your duty at work as a worker? What is your duty at home as a daughter, as a friend, as a wife, or a sister? You know, what are your duties? You know, while you're driving your car, it's to drive and not cut anyone off, and to remember to signal. So being able to follow your dharam is a big part of it, and while that is something that is always with you in part of the culture, it's nothing that says, you know, you have to do these things, you have to go to church every Sunday, or you have to wear long underwear, or you must carry, you know, some ceremonial symbol of what you are and who you are.
So you have made Hinduism sound like a very open-minded, open-ended way of life, and it doesn't have too much dogma, which is what you seem to appreciate. Do you think Hinduism as it is now is quite relevant for people living in Western society?
I think any religion has to be made relevant. I think we live in the age of science, in the age of technology, in an age where common ailments and common problems, everyone's always going back to the laboratory to find a reason and a solution. And I think we're in an age and an era now where in all religions, faith becomes a very key and common sort of crux or focal point. And so even in Hinduism, its relevance comes in how much faith we choose to have or do not have. And in order to make Hinduism relevant or keep it at the forefront of relevance along with any other religion, I think we need to show our young people who are growing up in the Hindu tradition that there is a concrete payoff, a concrete result for having faith, for following this tradition, for walking in these footsteps that they wouldn't be able to find by, taking a pill or booting up the computer or using the marvels of modern exercise or anything else. I think spirituality is a very difficult thing to instill. I think people sort of either have it or they don't, but I think if they were to look for the relevance of Hinduism, it would have to be in trying to find those core values, those core beliefs which encourage the spirituality and the faith so that people can draw on something other than their day-to-day lives for peace of mind and for inner happiness.
Let me back up a bit, because you've said something very interesting about faith and spirituality. As you know, faith is a matter of experience. Now, you being a young person, I wouldn't expect you to have experiences of the caliber of somebody almost twice your age, which is what I am. But what is the root of your faith in Hinduism? Would you like to enlighten us with one or two experiences which are at the foundation of your faith in Hinduism?
I think for me as a Hindu, from where do I draw my faith? It's knowing that there are certain things over which I have no control, and to know that in Hinduism we believe that all life is prescribed before we even visit our eternal life and spend our time as on earth. We know that that there is a higher power that has a plan for us, and really our job is not so much about trying to, I wouldn't say enjoy, but it's not so much the focus of accomplishing or living on earth. It's trying to achieve moksha, achieve freedom, so that we can be broken from this cycle of rebirth over and over and over again. So to know that there are things, Shachi, that you can't change because that's just the way it is, because this was all decided long before you got here. And this had to do with the life that came before you and the life that's going to come after you. If you are sent back down to earth, then, sometimes it's a way of just sort of taking a deep breath and saying, okay, you know what, I'm not going to really freak out about this, because I know that whatever has been predetermined and predestined for me as a Hindu, I have to just sort of roll with that and keep going.
So you derive a certain amount of tranquility from this, because somebody can find it very daunting that whichever way you turn, you get told that according to philosophy of karma, everything has been predetermined. But one more aspect I want to explore. You talked about some core beliefs. As a young person, being raised in a technological society, what are some of the core beliefs which are the foundation of your faith in Hinduism?
Well, I think for me, some of my core beliefs go to just very, very basic, simple things. And if you were to ask me to point to, in which scripture, if it was in, Rig Veda or in Ramayana or Bhagavad Gita, where do you find this or where do you find that? I probably wouldn't be able to tell you. But just going back to what I mentioned earlier, to sort of, fulfilling your dharam, to doing your duty, and also to, treating people as though you would wish to be treated, and to just respect, I think, is another big one. I think Hinduism speaks a lot for respect. We have a lot of mutual respect and showing respect to those older than you, to those younger than you, respect for the environment around you, respect for what you learn, for the knowledge that you earn, all of that. And we have many, many examples in our religion of gratitude, gratefulness to whatever we receive in life, and to receive it. And it's very hard sometimes if you put it in a practical sense. Something bad happens to you, say, oh, I'm so grateful for this experience because I'm going to learn from it. But I think sometimes you're just like, why is this happening to me? But if you go back to that, we do ask that. And I think at times if someone else close to us would say, well, Hinduism tells us that we should, respect this experience because it's going to, give us some knowledge and some tranquility and some greater good along the road. At the time we're going to go, I don't want to hear that right now. But I think there is truth to it. I think when we
I
can...
think you are speaking like a young person. I fully identify with you. But there are times when you have trust in the teachings of the sages because they have thought about these situations.
Oh, they've been there,
yes,
and worse,
yeah.
and worse. They've gone through things that we read about or we see or we are told, and we come back and we say, well, you know, I'm really glad that the worst thing on my mind right now is my job or my schooling or whatever. I mean, if you look at Bhisham Pitama, who was put in a terrible position on the battleground and had to make some incredible choices and incredible sacrifices, I go, you know, I'm really glad my worst thing today is fighting traffic or what I'm going to wear.
So you are quite comfortable with that overshadow of such a large heritage of Hinduism, and you have found a niche here in the Western society, and you are quite comfortable with that.
I think the thing is that you talk about the heritage of it. It's one of the challenges is that it's very hard when you're dealing with a religion which is not just a religion but a way of life that goes back 3,000 years. And so much of Hinduism, its ritual, its prayer, the way we carry it out, has to do with things that happened so long ago and have become so deeply ingrained, and it's difficult at times, I think, when you are plucked from that environment. I was not raised in the environment, say, that you or other elders were, where everybody around you is following the same traditions, the same rituals. I wouldn't say thinks the same way, but I would say accepts a certain natural order of things. And you're sort of plunked down here where nobody thinks the same way, and a great deal of your religious or spiritual life is patiently explaining to friends why you believe this, why this is a certain way, and living day to day in that certain way. And there are times, I think, when you can get confused and question, well, why do I believe this when no one else does, or why do I have to follow this when no one else is?
I guess that's part of living in the multicultural society.
Certainly.
But do you see other young people your age, do they have similar kind of conflicts as you are describing?
I think so. I think this is a function of one's time in life, and I think that's very natural. Hinduism tells us that there are 3 or 4 stages in life. One is when you are learning, a time to get educated. One is for marriage and family life, and one is for giving up all your worldly possessions and
it is
going
definitely
in.
a big part of it.
It's a big part of it. I don't know that that's necessarily practical or translatable here in our life, but I think we're at an age where we're questioning and seeking. This is very much a seeking time of life. So if people around me from any religion or any culture is questioning quite a bit, I would think that that's only natural.
I very much like you in a very tangible and open way discussing some of these conflicts which go with growing up, but tell me, what can parents do, and have you got any advice for the parents to try to help the young people grow?
Oh,
in
heaven
this
forbid I should
multicultural
try to
society?
advise parents.
Well, you must have a, and
Well,
I would like to leave this interview with some tangible thoughts from you.
I think, and I'm a long way from it, but if I were a parent trying to make Hinduism and our beliefs relevant, I think it would be sort of give examples of those core values and of the payoff or to use a term or of the result that a person can achieve from knowing and understanding and accepting the fundamental values of Hinduism. Give it hardcore examples of it. And just something as simple as Ravan, you take something that doesn't belong to you, you're going to pay for it, and there's going to be trouble down the pipe. That type of thing. I think the more concrete it seems, and the less mystical, philosophical, hazy it is, then
down to earth.
Down to earth. I think the more down to earth it's made, the more relevance it will have for young people, and the more they can draw on it, and from there they can perhaps explore some of the deeper values and the deeper issues. But I think for young people, you have to make it easy.
Yeah, doing it all the time is a tall order, but I do appreciate your taking time to explain it, because parents are just like young people, are looking for some something to harmonize things around them. Parents are also looking for ideas to harmonize things in their life and also for the children.
Well, certainly, it's very easy to talk to a rishi or a pandit and talk about very weighty things that will probably go over the heads of most young people, and especially those growing up here who don't understand the language, who don't have the Sanskrit or even the Hindi to really understand these things. So to just break it down to very simple things.
Do you go to temple?
I do. However, I don't see it as something that I have to do in order to practice and follow my faith. We know that in Hinduism, our bhajans always refer to God as tum, not aap. So it's a very personal relationship. So I can commune or talk or practice my faith or my religion while I'm driving or sitting at the table or in bed at night, sort of pondering deep things. I do go to temple, but I think that's something that's more a societal a function of religion, a more traditional function of religion rather than a more spiritual one.
Well, Shachi, that has been very interesting and enlightening to listen to you. And I like to thank you for taking time from your preparation. And I know you are busy preparing for some kind of exam, so I particularly thank you
No, it's
for
my
coming over
pleasure.
here.
Thank you for having me.